Hi, everyone. My name's Chris. I am a student at the Stephen M. Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan. I've just completed the second portion of the school's Fast Track Finance program with Professor Call. And I was once in your shoes working on these same assignments, and I'm happy to join you this morning and answer any questions you might have. It looks like the first question we have is on assignment 6, question 7. And it looks like we are deciding whether to add a stock to our portfolio, but we're not sure about their growth rate. We know the discount rate in this question, and we know the dividend they've just paid. So we want to calculate the value of the stock today, but we cannot decide between using a growth rate of one number or a slightly higher number. Again, in these problems, we're all going to have different numbers in our prompt, but the method will be basically the same. So the question itself is asking us to sort of flesh out the difference between the two prices, and just to sort of see how I think in general 1% change in the growth rate can affect the value of a stock. So with that in mind, I will start walking through this.
There's also a video of it too, if you want.
Yeah. And we have a video of this question. It was done with another one of my peers in the class. The video, I think, can be seen on the website. It should be on the Coursera website. But just to kind of, I think, walk you guys through this problem verbally. In my example problem, I'm given a growth rate of 11%. I'm sorry, I'm given a discount rate of 11%, or an interest rate of 11%. And I know that it just paid a dividend of $3.25, say yesterday. So we'll call that.
Do you want to be using PowerPoint?
Yeah, I'd love to. We'll call that div 0. In a second, I'll put this all on the screen for you guys. And I'm given two growth rates, constant growth rate of 4.5%, call that G1, and 5.5%, call that G2. So I have two ways to calculate dividend 1, or dividend 1 period from today. So with that in mind, I'll switch over to showing you guys how I would work through this. We know that we just paid a dividend of $3.25. We know that our discount rate, or cost of capital, or interest rate, is 11%. And we know that we're deciding between two growth rates. Growth rate 1 is 4.5%. And growth rate 2 is 5.5%. So with these numbers in mind, there are two potential future dividends to be paid by this stock. If you multiply 3.25 by if you multiply 3.25 times 1. 0.045, you will get you'll get about $3.40. So you know that the dividend 1 period from now under growth rate A, or the first growth rate, will be about $3.40. If you multiply by the other growth rate, we find a dividend of $3.43. So those are our two potential dividends. Now, to value a stock, which is essentially a perpetuity with growth in this case, we're going to use the formula C1 over R minus G. And our C1 is going to be each one of these dividends under the different growth rate scenarios. So our first calculation for dividend 1A would be $3.40 over 11% minus 4.5%. And that comes out to something like, give me just a second. That comes out to about $52.31. And then in our second scenario, we have $3.43 divided by 11% minus 5.5%. And this comes out to, just a moment. This comes out to $62.36. So subtracting these two potential results answers the sort of the ultimate question we were asked, which is, how does this seemingly small difference impact your valuation, i.e. the price per share? So we've got two different numbers, 62.36 and 52.31. We want to see the difference, and it comes out to be something like $10.05. So that would be my approach to this question. I think a lot of what people stumble over here is that you're given your dividend today, but for the calculation, you need the dividend 1 period from now. And while you are going to include growth, you have to include these growth numbers in order to get dividend your two different potential dividend ones. And then moving forward in the perpetuity calculation, you still need to include growth again. So you know that growth going forward in perpetuity. And I think that's probably the area where most people stumble in this, is that you've got to account for sort of a different starting point in each one of the perpetuity calculations, but don't forget that you also have to include growth in perpetuity. So it feels like a double count, but it's I would say it's not really.
And then, just to show you what this would look like if you go into your course dashboard here. I'm actually looking at mine. So don't worry about this right now. But so now we're in our cohort session. And then I think that, remember over here to the right-hand side where you see video solutions, for you can just click there and there's a list of all these. So Chris gave an excellent explanation. But also we could go here whenever you want and look at it for past.
And that's our friend Tej.
Hi everyone, my name is Peng. I'm also a student at Ross School of Business. So today I will be doing this online Q&A session with Chris. I will start with assignment 6, question number 8. So just to summarize the question and my solution here, the question is asking us, so this young company have to bid for a construction contract, and they are unable to pay the dividend today, but they are going to pay the dividend 3 years from now. So from that point forward, they will continue to have their dividend increase by 5.75% per year. And also the question gave us a data about their cost of equity. It's also 9.75%. And finally, the question asked us to solve what should be the price per share for the company today. And the logic here is really, since the question gave us data on the dividend growth rate and also the cost of equity for time 3, so 3 years from now. So we basically can figure out the stock price for time 2, because the stock price is basically you take the dividend from next year and then divide it by the cost of capital and then minus the growth rate. So that's conceptually, you can get the stock price for year 2. And then because the question is asking us to get the stock price for this year, today, so basically discount the stock price for year 2 by 2 years. So each year we use the cost of capital of 9.75%. Then you get the stock price for today. So that's conceptually how I solve this problem. And then I will go to the whiteboard and show you how I do it step by step. So I will discuss.
Are you already screen sharing?
Yeah. Okay. So I will put some data from the question on the whiteboard, so we know this is timeline. So time 3, 2, 1, 0, and we know that
I don't think it's sharing it.
it's not.
So all down, go back.
Oh, okay. You have to
There.
here.
And then click.
Guess what?
Okay, that's sure.
Good. Yeah, I think you guys can see my whiteboard in 30 seconds. So I will first put the data here. So we have $2.5 dividend in time 3, and we also will have a growth rate 5.75%. And this is time 3. So based on these, And also we have cost of capital, R, 9.75%. So based on this information, we can calculate the stock price based on the formula. So dividend 3 divided by R minus G. So this is P2. So this will be 2.5 divided by 0.975 minus 0.575. So this gives us the stock price for year 2. It's $62.5. Now we have the stock price for year 2. Then the question is asking us to get the stock price for today. Then, because there are no growth between year 0 and year 2, and we also know the discount rate is 9.75%, we can actually calculate stock price based on the PV formula. So if you open Excel, then you will have PV and then the discount rate. And then this is 2 years time frame. We have no yearly payment. Then the future value, which is P2. So if you put this in Excel, this gives us 51.89. So basically $52 per share. So that's our answer for the question. I think the numbers will be different for your questions, but the logic should be exactly the same. So to sum up, this question basically testing like two things. First is how to calculate stock price based on cost of capital and growth rate. And also the second thing trying to test you is really, are you able to figure out the current stock price based on a stock price from future? But I mean, this is all in theory because we don't really consider all the fractions in the stock market. But you can learn the logic here. So that's all for these questions. If you have anything not clear, you can just type it in the chat room so I can see it and I can explain it later. Thank you.
All right.
Can you mute first?
Yeah, how do we do that?
Stop sharing.
Okay.
Again, I think, yeah.
Okay. So we'll look at question 10 now. And if you guys could think about any other questions you might have. Question 10 is, in my example, is about a company called Higher Education, a private educational company with a share price of $50 per share. So off the bat, P0 is $50. Earnings and dividends are $4.70 a share, and the growth rate is 0. They have just announced a new growth strategy whereby the company's earnings would begin growing by 6% per year and remain stable at this new rate. This new growth strategy will require the company to reinvest 50% of their earnings starting at the end of this year, T=1. What will happen to the price per share of this company? Think carefully and draw a timeline. So this question is taking us from a company with a policy of no growth to valuing the stock of a company with a new growth policy. So we're going to need to look at two concepts here. One is looking at this dividend as something that will become dividend and retained earnings, and also the inclusion of this new 6% growth rate. So we have P0 equals 50, and we know that earnings and dividends are $470 a share. So now, knowing this, we know that the price today is the dividend over R. And because there's no growth rate, div 0 and div 1 would be the same number. So $50 equals 470 over R. R equals 0.094 or 9.4%. This is an important piece of information for moving forward with the problem. You need to know R in order to do a perpetuity calculation where we subtract G from R. So the company now declares a new policy where 50% of earnings will be reinvested in a project that will grow at 6%, that will help the company grow at 6%. So our old dividend is now half of 470, which is 235. And a G will be 6% from the prompt, which was given to us in the question prompt. Knowing this information, we now do a new valuation of this share price. So P will equal the new dividend, 2.35, over R, which is 0.094, minus the declared 6% growth rate. This should deliver a share price of $69.12. So the question had asked, what will happen to the price per share of this company? You're obviously, they're very generously have given us a multiple choice answer, and our choices are: price will increase by $19.12 per share, price will decrease by $19.12 per share, price will remain unchanged, or there's insufficient information to determine the price change. Pretty quickly, you can see that 69.12 minus 50 equals a $19.12 increase. So our answer would be an increase of $19.12. And the key concepts here to think about are your reinvestment policy of reinvesting 50% of earnings, which we knew had originally been given out as a $4.70 dividend. Now half of this is being reinvested in the company, and half of this is being paid out in the form of $2.35 dividend next period. Again, the company believes that this policy will allow them to grow at 6%. So we now have a growth rate in our calculation, which is essentially a perpetuity calculation. Okay.
Okay, I will start with next question. It's assignment 6, question 9. So in this question, we have this utility company, and they are trying to investigate their new technology. But currently, they are earning about $30 million per year, and so this they pay this $30 million to their 1 million shareholders. And so they are currently considering to have this investment in the technology which will enable them to extract the wind energy more effectively. This investment will require them to invest about $15 million in the first year, time 1. And with this investment, it will generate actual cash flow of $8 million from time 2, and also this actual cash flow will continue forever. So the question is asking us if the company decided to do the new investment, what will be the result of the stock price change? So I would start with first going through the concepts of the question, and then I will do it on the whiteboard so you can see the step by step. I think conceptually, because the question is asking about a change of stock price, so we basically have to calculate 2 stock price. One is that the current stock price without the investment. This is kind of as our baseline. And then we consider the new investment opportunity and calculate how much the stock price will increase based on the new investment. And then we see the difference. Then it's the answer that we will have to come up with. So first, I will start with the current stock price. So from the question, we know that we are earning a dividend of $30 million. And then we have 1 million shareholders. This is basically the shares of, this is like number of shares basically. So then we know the dividend will be 30 million divided by 1 million. So it's $30 per share. And then because the question also tell us the cost of capital is 10%. Then based on this information, we can calculate stock price of today. P0 is dividend 1 divided by cost of capital. This is 30 and then 10%. So current stock price is $300. So that's our baseline. We know that without the investment, we will have a stock price of $300. Now let's consider the investment opportunity. Baseline. So I will also start with the timeline. And also I will start from future and going backward. The question tells us if we invest on this new opportunity, we will have additional 8 million actual cash flow at time 2. So that says basically we have a 30 million cash flow. That's the baseline, and we will have additional 8 million. So this is $38 million of cash flow. And then based on these, because we don't have any growth, we will have a stock price of P1 equals to the dividend, new dividend, and discounted by 10% discount rate. So it's 38 divided by 10%. So that's 380. So that's kind of the stock price by time 1. And then based on this, we will know that time 1, the stock price is 380. And then since I talked about this already in the last question, if we have a future stock price, we can discount that and get a stock price for P0. And that is 380 divided by 1.1. So it's yeah, let me just calculate that. That's 345.45. And then since we have an investment here in time 1, that means if we will have only $15 million dividend on time 1. So if we put this together with the calculation from the last time, we will have an overall P0 equals 380 plus 150, 15 divided by 1.1. So it's 359. So this is our new price, and this is our old price. So as you can see, we have about $59 difference in the stock price. So that's how I tackled this problem. So in summary, I think you have to understand that first, you have to have 2 scenarios to calculate the difference. One is the baseline scenario is what will be the stock price if you don't have any new investment? And then the second scenario is that to calculate the stock price increased by how much if we have the new investment. So that's all for this question. If you have anything not clear, please let me know. Thank you.
I'm not getting much in the chat.
Okay, we can ping a few more times, but you know.
Okay, I will start with the assignment 8, question number 5. Let me switch to my questions. So the question is asking about, suppose we have 3 securities, A, B, and C, to create our portfolio. And also the question gave us the probabilities of the directions of the economy will be. So it's 0.3, 0.5, 0.2, respectively for expansion and normal and recession. We also know that the returns of the security are as follows. So the question gave us what will happen for each of the security if it's in expansion or normal or recession economy. So, and then we are trying to compare 4 potential portfolios. Each contains 3 security with their specific weight specified here. And we have to figure out which portfolio has the lowest risks. So the question is asking about lowest risks. Basically, we should translate this question to which portfolio will have the lowest variance or standard deviation. So that's kind of the risks basically is interchangeable with variance. And to start with, so we will have to calculate the first of all the variance for each. We have to calculate the variance for like each of the stock, and then because we have a weight for each stock in one of the 4 portfolios, then we can multiply the variance with our weight in the portfolio, and then in the end you should have a compound variance for the portfolio. So because these questions have really very complicated calculation, I think so I think if you have specific question, you can put kind of a link for your Excel, and then we can try to figure out where is the problem is in your calculation. I think that's kind of easier to solve your question.